Good morning, everybody. First of all, I think this is a fantastic session. 30 minutes is probably too short a time to discuss these things, but also an interesting session. So first of all, my thanks to Marine Money. It's a pleasure to be here and talk on this particular topic. As I looked at this particular session's information and details, the quote that came to my mind is that a problem of plenty produces plenty of problems. And that's essentially what we are trying to discuss here. It's a good problem to have, though, to actually have this ability. To give you a context, I was looking at some numbers in 2022 for container shipping alone. The profits were $213 billion. And these are the listed companies, of course, which are obviously, bulk sector, tanker sector, LNG, LPG. Everybody has actually prospered post-pandemic, and this has been an unbelievable round of amazing numbers coming in. But at the same time, I think the challenge is, of course, where to spend this money, where to unlock the best value. So here I have an amazing panel, a banker in Tomasz, a person who manages the finance deals, Philip, and probably person who's getting the money in the bank is Esben. So it's going to be great to actually speak to all the participants in a deal, so as to speak, and get their views. All of them extremely veterans as well as knowledgeable in this particular space. So for me also, it's going to be a learning experience. So maybe we can start with all three people. Of course, it's fair to say that, as I said, the money is not the issue now. The money is available. The challenge is where to invest to unlock the best value that money can bring. And that means the challenges and the uncertainties that the industry is facing are the main hindrances to unlock that value, I would say. So maybe I can get all the three panelists to start and give their opinion on what are the key uncertainties that they see that the industry is facing to unlock the value in this particular round of bumper finances which are actually present in the industry. Maybe Philip, you can start, then Esben and Tomasz.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Look, I think it's true if you say credit or funds are available abundantly, but I think it's worthwhile reflecting on how the credit markets have changed in the period basically pre-global financial crisis, pre-shipping crisis, where we were in a market where the banks would lend to anybody and everybody, small, large, recourse, non-recourse, all the structures were possible, equity bridges, whatever your heart desired, it was available in the banking market. We know what that led to. Then after the crisis, we saw the tremendous rise of the Chinese leasing companies that filled in substantially for the void left by the banks, who were obviously in shock. And they started out in a very sort of undiscriminatory manner and maybe not as disciplined, but things have come a long way and have changed. So yes, credit is available abundantly, but it's different credit at different price points to different people. So you have now the tier one market where the banks are falling over themselves to extend credit to them. That's true. Largely, the Chinese leasing companies are fighting over the same customers today because they have become a lot more discriminatory also. And then you have the non-bank market, and the non-bank market is also flush with liquidity and willing to lend, but at much different price points. Why is this good? It's good because I think the credit markets are better differentiating between risk and attaching different price points to it, which leads to more market discipline. So I think the credit markets have dramatically changed. Yes, liquidity is there, but it's there in a very, very different form than it used to be 10 years or so ago. Maybe I leave my other two panelists to talk about the investment conundrum and what you can do with the funds.
Thank you, Philip. Esben.
Thank you, Punit, and thank you to Marine Money for inviting me here today. I think a famous ship owner said not all that long ago, it takes a brave person to order a ship today. There's some, of course, the truth of it is that the order book generally is dominated by LNG and container largely, and so ordering today, I think that the question is nobody really knows exactly where this transition is going or how fast or how slow it's going to be. Dual fuel has become very popular. There is experimentation going on in many of these new fuels, as we all know, and has been well profiled in the press. But the people making the decisions as to what to invest in and where to go at this point, it is really a quandary, and I'm glad that I myself don't have to make such decisions, because I'm really very, very uncertain as to where this will all go. But what I am certain about is that the industry will figure this out one way or the other. It may just take a bit longer than we think, but IMO has recently, at the last MEPC, formally agreed with full support from all countries the 2050 goals. So we will get there anyway. I'm getting off the track here slightly, but I think my overriding point is that it is a very tough decision today to know which way to go on this. But as Philip says, there is funding available at a price, of course, a higher price than it was. The Chinese companies, leasing companies, have come in and filled what was a bit of a gap. So yeah, that would be my.
Okay, absolutely. Tomasz.
Good morning. From our conversations with our clients, I can point to two main risks. One is technology. One, the new fuels, it's so uncertain when they will be viable. But then, on the other hand, you have a technology that can influence the existing fleet. You have the CO2 capturing, sail, all those things are starting to making more and more sense. And the more money will going to be put into those projects or similar, that might influence what is happening with today's fleet and how long it's going to be viable. The other thing is policies, and they are made by politicians. And we all see that geopolitics today is changing, and we do not know really how the next 5 years is going to look like. So that would be my 2 points.
Short and sweet, absolutely. I think those are valid points, very important as such. Maybe what has been mentioned is actually an interesting point in terms of regulations are kind of driving a lot of these investments today. But we are at a kind of a twilight zone, if I call it, because you still haven't retired the conventional fuels, you still haven't got the full answer to the future fuel, so you're in kind of an in-between zone, so as to speak. It's a very tough time to really have money in your pocket and not be able to spend it. And that is one of the things I wanted to mention, saying, how are the shipping companies looking, maybe Esben, you can start with this, in terms of trying to find some answers to these tricky questions as such? And are they actually looking for technology space which is helping, or is it actually at the policy level, or maybe even at the actual shipyard space, or whatever? Where is the answers being tried to find? Of course, they need to try and find those answers sooner rather than later. Where would be the place to start? And maybe the past can show you some inklings of where the past experiences have led us in when these kind of changes and transitions have happened.
Well, regulation is, it has been a source of frustration to our industry. I think we can say for over many years, Hong Kong Convention, after 14 years of effort, is about to come into force. The Ballast Water Convention, about 14 or 15 years as well. So these are not very impressive records, and I would say that the industry, in the case of this move towards tomorrow's fuels, I mean, the industry, frankly, has been ahead of the regulators, very, very proactive, and in many ways has been as I see it, the tail wagging the dog. And I was very happy to see that IMO finally came into line, but it was very much industry-driven. There is general agreement on this. There's also general agreement that we have some doubts as to how we will actually get there, because there are many uncertainties. But I personally have almost a blind faith in the ingenuity of mankind, or so I should say peoplekind, to come up with the answers. I mean, when you see what's going on around the world in terms of research into these technologies and the incremental improvements, by the way, that are possible. You mentioned sail and all these other things that are here now. These are being embraced, and in some of the segments of our industry which are doing well, there is the funding available to use these technologies, and that is a very, very good thing, because there is here and now, and then there's the longer picture. But the road ahead is fulfilled with uncertainties. But as I say, we can't see it at this precise point. But I think the progress that has been made indicates to me that technology will solve this eventually, come the time.
Absolutely. So technology is probably where the most hope lies. What about you, Philip? Have you been having these discussions with your clients, and where have they been kind of putting their efforts in terms of trying to find the way out of the twilight zone, as I call it? Yeah.
Sure. I mean, that's front and center of every discussion. I think even the smallest owner realizes something is changing here. Look, first of all, I would say it's maybe a good thing that we are in this, I call it the propulsion and fuel dilemma, not knowing where we really want to go, because I can assure you the tanker and the dry bulk order book wouldn't be what it is today if we were not in this dilemma, right? I mean, we would be at 30 or 40% of the sailing fleet. I think in your preparation for this, you said, are we doing the same mistakes as always? My answer is we would have if we hadn't been in the fuel and propulsion dilemma. And so this is good. Owners are enjoying very strong freight markets for longer than what they would probably under normal circumstances would have enjoyed. But on the question of will we solve this, we will absolutely solve this. And I agree with Esben. I think commercial realities are running ahead of regulation. And I think I would be happy to take a bet that in latest by 2013, this will be considered an opportunity and not a cost. Because I think the market will reward you for it. The financial markets will you reward for it, and your customers will you reward for this, because the pressure is everywhere. And the banks won't give you credit. The equity investors won't buy your stock unless you take it serious. And hence, I think in 5 to 7 years, we are talking about completely different things.
Fantastic. At least it's optimistic. That's I like. Tomasz, maybe discussions with your clients, similar discussions?
My clients are mainly the top tier.
Yes.
And they are all thinking about the change, how to prepare themselves for the new market. And that is the consideration of the order book. But also when you talk to smaller ship owners, they are struggling because they, on one hand, want to keep up. But on the other hand, they don't know where to get that fuel of the future. And will they be able to secure it? And how, at what cost? So I think, I agree, few years ahead of us and very uncertain. There's a lot of still answers a lot of questions to be answered.
Interesting. Now, as an advisor and an investor in Motion Ventures for the last 3 years, I've actually had the privilege of also seeing these startups from outside the industry come and try and change some of the status quo, let's put it that way, that has actually been going on for years in the industry. And that has actually been a great experience. I also see the corporates have started creating ventures in order to invest in these new technologies, new ideas, and maybe even bet on some uncertain spaces which were otherwise taboo for shipping companies. So I would like to get all three of you to kind of give me your views on what are the unconventional, non-conventional investment opportunities that you see today. I mean, are people actually investing in technologies outside the traditional shipping sphere? Are you actually seeing people talk about the fact that extrapolation opportunities exist, cross-learning ideas? These are something that we are seeing in Motion Ventures and Captain's Table, for example. We see this as a huge advantage for the industry, that there is a renewed interest in the particular industry, which has usually got a bad press most of the time. But a lot of technology guys are coming in and talking about, we need to do something to help you guys. And that's very positive. So what are the shipping companies doing about this, Esben, from your experience? And maybe Philip and Tomasz can come after that. Yeah.
No, I think these startups coming into our industry is a very, very good thing. And because one side benefit is it brings younger people into our industry. Our industry is considered a bit fuddy-duddy by many in the public, but these young people can see that shipping has quite a bit of low-hanging fruit. And so it's an interesting space. They're not coming in because some, like myself, I'm passionate about shipping, but they're not. But they're interested in the opportunities that the industry offers. And I think many enlightened owners, particularly those that have had eye-watering profits in recent years, are able to invest in a lot of these startups and are doing so and are quite open to it. I mean, I'm amazed. I know a number of owners who put, you know, a few million here and a few million there in quite a number of startups. Of course, they're not all going to be winners, far from it, but there will be winners. And this is all part of the competition and all part of what makes it also interesting, because somewhere out there, someone has an answer to a particular problem that even months ago or a few years ago would have seemed unsolvable. So I'm very, very positive on this front, and I hope it continues and expands.
Okay, very interesting. Philip, you also have Transport Capital launch a venture outfit where you're actually looking at this actively now. And how do you see your experience so far for that? That'll be interesting to see as well.
Look, we're super excited about this. It's good that new people have and are coming in the industry with different ideas. Some of them are naive, some of them are more realistic, but it's very interesting. So we decided, when was it, 3 years ago, that look, we don't have a big balance sheet, so these are relatively modest amounts of money, and it's not so much about the financial return, it's about the learnings we get from this. And so we have made 3 investments so far. We are very close to making our 4th investment right now, and we enjoy the interaction. In fact, I think we have 1 or 2 investments together with you, Motion Ventures, alongside you. In 1 or 2 investments, we have brought 1 or 2 of our close ship owner clients with us into the transactions, which again creates interesting dialogues. And we are doing it really because we want to get smarter. Obviously, we look at quite a lot of proposals, and we invest in very early stage, seed stage. And our experience so far is 50% of that investment decision is the founder. This is very people, because the business plan undoubtedly of a startup in the seed stage will change about 7 times before it can be considered realistic. So you invest on the basis of a business plan that has nothing to do with what you are finally getting. So you need somebody who can adjust to the realities in the market and what the company finds out as it goes along. Look, the jury is out. They might all fail. Some might win. Who knows? But it's certainly enlightening, and it gives us a glimpse into where this industry is going. And I rather have a glimpse than be completely in the dark.
Fantastic. Good way to put it. Tomasz, any experience in this regard, non-conventional investment opportunities that you're exploring or your clients are?
I just want to notice that only within the last 3 to 4 years, there was so many new ideas brought in front of ship owners that developed this, the sail idea or the CO2 capturing systems. That's something that were not really explored before. And there are people who came who were never before in this industry. On the other hand, when I'm talking to ship owners, CFOs, they do not have that technical knowledge. So there has to be a match, and the ability to explain your idea and convince a ship owner to invest his money into those projects. I think we still need to be educated more, and we need more of those ideas in the industry.
Absolutely, and I think just to quote a name here, Eastern Pacific Shipping put up a Techstars joint venture. I remember very clearly that was a huge success because it taught EPS probably a lot of things that they would have otherwise not had access to. So things like this, there's a lot of examples which are coming up, and it's great to see that. So towards the end, let's ask the hypothetical question to the panelists. Not really hypothetical anymore because there's so much money in the business now that if they had, well, normally I would ask $100 million, but I think now the stakes are a little bit higher today and there's more money out there. So maybe $500 million sitting with each of you. Which sector would be the kind of go-to sector for you? Where do you think the potential lies? It's a loaded question. Of course, it's a challenging one to talk about, but just from top of your head, what comes to mind as the first sector that you're looking at? Of course, you all have your passions and closeness to specific sectors, but I'm just asking an objective opinion if possible. So maybe, Philip, you can start. What do you think $500 million is worth investing in today in which sector of shipping?
Look, I'm a leasing guy by background, going back to my FSL days. So I don't like market risk and operating risk and all these things. This scares the hell out of me. So if there is one new company that I can point out that I think is on the right path, that is doing something very interesting, it's Purus Marine. They are building a portfolio of environmentally friendly ships, which are on, employment, or which are on medium to long-term employment contracts at obviously decent rates. And I think they will have the advantage that, relative to the rest of the market, they will have the most desirable assets, and I think they will be rewarded for it. So I like that strategy. I think if you invest now, look, you can play tactical and buy a second-hand ship here or there, but if you want to invest for the future, you should go for the best technology that is available, knowing that we are probably still very much in a transition phase.
Okay, fine. Esben, your wisdom.
Well, if I had this enviable sum of money, I think I would probably actually diversify it a bit. I would invest in what I would consider first-class publicly listed companies that are well advanced on the environmental agenda and are forward-looking and have the right fleet profile and are doing the things currently that one should be doing. So I think I would do a sort of a bit of a spread portfolio on that, probably with an emphasis on dry bulk and more modestly on tankers and LNG, etc. But probably 50% dry bulk.
Interesting. Stay away from containers for the while. Tomasz.
So I'm also going to think like a banker. I probably agree with the proposition with Purus. I think it's a very interesting company. But I would probably look for an opportunity to purchase a vessel and then have it a long-term employment that would allow me to refinance it at very high leverage when the interest at the right level and I know where to invest my money next.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I think that's a fantastic session, a lot of learning for me as well. I think this is one of the sessions which will hopefully help take these sessions forward, because what we are talking about will be discussed much more in detail by the other panelists going forward. So this is obviously one of the best probably times to have a Marine Money Forum, because Marine has most money that has ever been. So great to see, and thank you so much for your time. Thanks a lot. Thank you.